Hi everyone, McBeard here, back with another card review video for the NOVIGRAD expansion, which I'm just cutting right before the dev stream. We're going to know all the information soon, including all the rest of the cards and the patch notes. But I just wanted to leave you a quick note at the beginning of this video. When I'm talking about these cards, including this scary thing on the screen in front of me, God, this card is scary. I'm not going to be putting the names of the cards up. I just didn't have time. I hope you guys can understand. I wanted to get this review out before the stream. So I'm not doing the nameplates, but if you want to know the names of the cards, they're all in the description below. All right. Enjoy, my friends. I know the Nilfgaard fans are just like, please. You can wait. You can wait. But I have 14 cards to reveal. We got to see a lot of crazy stuff with the cut-ups, some monsters cards, and you better believe another leader as they just keep pouring the reveals on us. But let's get things started out here. This beautiful piece of artwork right here is the Firesworn Zealot. This is your 2-strength token that will be appearing when you spawn a Firesworn Zealot. Fisstech Trafficker, revealed by United Playground. This is a 3-strength unit for 4 provisions. Deploy, give poison to a unit. If it's an ally, gain 2 coins. On the basic level, the flavor of this card is so good that I'll excuse if it's not good or not. I don't even care if it's not good or not. You poison your own unit and you get money. It's perfect. It's a Fisstech Trafficker. It is absolutely brilliant design. Brilliant, brilliant flavor. I can taste it from here. That being said, something that people, it's interesting. It's kind of like how the poison exists in scoia'tael and the poison exists in Nilfgaard. It's there. You're not going to doubt that it's going to kill things. And if you build a whole deck around it, your opponent's going to have to adapt pretty quick. So it seems like the poison for Syndicate is just, it's there. You've seen Fisstech, you've seen Wretched Addict, you've seen now this card as well. There is a poison your own units theme that is really kind of behind the scenes with like the big, like 5 main gangs, 5 big things. It's just kind of like Novigrad's seedy underbelly. I like these kind of normal cards. It feels very fitting for the faction. That's awesome. Cutup Lackey. This is a huge card for more reasons than I even thought when I saw it. Cutup Lackey revealed by Xander TNPX, or perhaps he's straight edge and his name is Ander TNP and he just has the X's. I'll never know. Cutup Lackey is a 4 provision point, 4 strength unit. Whenever you play a crime card, damage a random enemy unit by 1. Bonded, increase this damage by 1. I'll be honest, the bonded is gravy. But the bonded matters a ton on this card where it may not matter that much on other bonded cards. This card is deceptively extremely strong and may actually be defining for what could be the more competitive side of the Syndicate. I think that there's going to be a very strong no-joke portal deck that combines this card here with this card here. So Portal, as a reminder, is a 12 provision point artifact that pulls 2 4 provision point units out of your deck and places them on either side. So if you have these guys, which are a 4-for-4 engine, and you have these guys, which are a 4-for-4 engine, and you have, that's 2 of them. And usually you can get away with two units of the same type and then a special unit. If you could maybe justify the faction using the special unit. Whereas in the Syndicate, you want to play Portal. You have both of these cards. They both care about crimes. So you're happy filling up the bottom part of your deck with 4-point crimes that are going to boost both of your engines that you're going to be playing guaranteed every time you draw Portal. Or Novigradian Justice, which will be able to pull a bare knuckle brawler out of your deck and then also it'll pull one out, it'll make a second one, but it'll keep the other one in the deck for when you top deck Portal, you can still play the 2 engines. So that's like where I was going into this card, and things have still gotten sweeter from here. Follow with me, come with me, take the journey with me, my friends. So this card is obviously dope for all the same reasons that the Bare Knuckle Brawler is going to be good. It's an engine that cares about crimes, and for the Portal, both the cards that you're pulling both care about crimes. It's nuts. And they're both 4 strength to begin with. Very, very, very good. Legitimately scary. What are you going to do about that? We'll get back to Cutup Lackey later. It's important that we keep moving on. Tax Collector, revealed by Asinoix. 5 provision point, 4 strength unit. On the ranged row, every allied turn on turn end, gain 1 coin. So this is a pretty cool engine, but it's kind of like it's generating carryover for you. So I would associate this very much with the Hawker Smuggler. The Hawker Smuggler is also a row-locked engine that generates you value in a place where your opponent can't really interact with it. So I think that this card is great for that reason because it's cheaper than Hawker Smuggler, and the coins can sometimes mean more than 1 point. I mean, this card just seems like it's on the same level of Hawker Smuggler and more affordable. You can still move it, you can still lock it, you can still kill it, so it still suffers from all the same reasons. The reason why this card stands out is for the reason why Townsfolk didn't stand out. The reason why Townsfolk didn't stand out is because this is also a pretty good engine, but it has a requirement and it's more expensive to put it in your deck. The Tax Collector is just doing work all the time. So I think that the Tax Collector, now that is also to say that these cards work very well together. If the Townfolk's on the board and your Tax Collector's on the board, now you've got a combo. It's an expensive combo, but you have one. And I think that there's some combos with this card. It's also nice to see that this card has kind of like an unlimited, there's still like this unlimited profit ceiling that is in there. Like the threatening nature of this card is very apparent when you see how highly costed high profit cards are. The dual faction cards get revealed further here with Pugo Boombreaker. This is a card revealed by ESC Card Gaming. I believe that this is it's European based, but I think it's heavily Italian. Shout outs to Grumperis. Pugo Broombreaker is a dual faction card, another 10 strength card for the Syndicate. 7 provisions for a 10 strength card. Deploy, damage a random allied unit by 3. If there are no allies, damage self by 5 instead. So this card is an interesting one because I think that this card is likely going to be an earlier card that you play like round one or round 2 when you need to get around to the thinning, like with Foglet, if you're playing monsters. So I think that there's application there. There's always application for a 10 strength card with basically, if you can minimize the drawback of a 10 strength card, monsters will play it all day long because of Ozrel. So access to another 10 strength card that isn't Caldwell is actually very good for monsters because they lost that. I think it's very, very good. If they wanted to run this, it's a little bit easier to run than Caldwell, actually a lot easier. And also, if you want to go ahead and just damage itself, it still puts the 10 strength card into the graveyard, so that's important for monsters. But it's also it's good for anything that heals or Becker's Twisted Mirror. Same reason why Procession of Penance, you had your eye on. We had our eye on Procession of Penance. He's a 10 strength card. So like you have a damaged unit. Okay. Maybe you have a bunch of units that you just don't even really care about the fact that they're damaged. Maybe you have, I don't know, like maybe you roll the dice with something already Sucrest, Prophet Lebiota, maybe put a shield on something. It's a 10 strength unit for 7 that when its deploy effect goes off, it's a 7-point unit for 7. So unless it hits an engine you're trying to keep alive, it's not that bad. There's ways to break it, probably. It's an interesting card. I'll give you that. There's a lot to think about with this card. Because it's 7 provision point, 10 strength unit. That's like no joke. You're playing with fire. You're playing with fire when you make a card like this, I think. Oh, the Shield Dwarf, Cleaver's Muscle. God, that's such an obvious combo. It's a good one. Thank you. Multi-Coyote. Need a 1-power card that doesn't get cleared by opponent. Yeah, the Shield Dwarf, though. Cleaver's Muscle. You can play Novigradian Justice into Cleaver's Muscle. If Boombreaker comes down, boom, you have 20 points on the board in turn 2. And you've thinned a card out of your deck. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not that expensive. Anti-Held, the auto-include meme. Yeah, auto-include for a deck that wants to... Yeah, everything is auto-include for the deck that wants to. This card's got... I think I could talk about this card for a bit. This card is a very thought-provoking card in a faction, because Syndicate's a faction that's doing, like, everything, right? There's shields, there's poisons, there's bleeding, there's vitality, there's self-wounding, there's kind of like orders, there's kind of like charges. There's a lot happening, a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of considerations to be put in with a faction that basically had nothing and now has everything. So this card's probably better than it looks, and it looks okay. It looks good. It looks playable. It looks like there's ways to play, just thinking about Cleaver's Muscle. So good with Archaspore? Ah, yeah, right? That's good too. Archaspore, Foglet, because the Syndicate has their fingers in all of the pots. I like this card. I really feel like I could talk about this for a while. All right, so let's talk about pushing a card. Let's talk about pushing a good card and pushing a bad card. That's a better way of putting it. This is Wheel of Fortune, a 5 provision point crime, special card. Damage an enemy unit by a random amount between 1 and 10. This is pushing a bad card. Why is this pushing a bad card? Because this card is bad, it's unreliable removal, and people shouldn't play it. But why will people consider playing it anyway? Why will people not take my advice? Because it's a crime, and because you have a 60% chance to remove that thing at 4 you're trying to kill. And that top end of 10, the Timmy players love that double-digit number. But why should you just not play this card? Because for five provision points, I can deal with my problem. I can play a card that damages for 4, or I can play Dimerdium Shackles and cover all my bases, lock the unit, or remove the unit for 5 provision points. And I don't have to hope that it's going to hit. But why am I still encouraged to play this card? Because it's a crime, and Syndicate does not have a lot of access to 4 damage pings. So because it's a crime, it's proccing all my Intimidates and my Cutup Lackey, but it could whiff, and that's bad. And it also could do 10 damage to something in a clutch moment and win me the game, and honestly, that's bad too. So I actually don't think this card will be... I think the card should not be played, but I think that there are enough excuses to play it that it might be around. Now, that being said, Viper Witcher is a card that exists, and that card sucks. It is one of my least favorite cards in the game, but I don't have to complain about it very often because no one plays it. So this card could also be a card that I don't have to complain about very often. We'll see. Now, while I was talking about pushing a good card, Cutup Lackey is actually another card that makes Wheel of Fortune better, as does Intimidate, as does the Bare Knuckle Brawler. So both of these cards are pushing Wheel of Fortune already. But Cutup Lackey is also extremely pushed when we already have a 4-for-4 engine that cares about the same cards. This card didn't have to be 4. This card would see play. But this is a pushed card. The Bonded is also pushing this card. This card is so incredibly pushed. This may be the highest value 4 provision card in the game. And we're still not even done talking about this card because we got to get up to Alonzo Wylie here, Whoreson Senior. But let's keep going. Let's talk about Whoreson Junior. Whoreson Junior is the leader. Oh, it'll see play because it's cheap. Yeah, Marcus, this I know. It'll probably see play. Whoreson Junior, absolutely gruesome artwork. This is another 16-point leader coming in with making your deck a provision cap of 166. On order, damages a unit by 7 and then gains crowns equal to the excess damage dealt. So, unlike Ada, you get rewarded kind of for your overkill. Also, you can kill a bounty, but you got to be careful when you kill a bounty because you don't want to get too many. You don't want to go over your cap. To do the 2-for-1 combo, this guy's a combo leader, more so than Gudrun. Gudrun is combo, but Gudrun is also setup, but Gudrun's also last play. I feel like this is more of a combo leader. You're going to see this more like the way Ada combos in with Hubert or Harold combos in with one of the engines that proc on damage. So he combos in with maybe Bounty or something else where you want to play a 2-for-1, something with like Graydon with who has an insane tribute, or Philippa who has an insane coin payoff. So I think that this guy, the thing is, it's going to be matchup dependent. There's probably some matchups where this guy just sucks. So I think we'll have to see. I think that I can still see him as a leader. I still see him being chosen and applied, and we still haven't seen all the cards yet. I think that of all the leaders, he is the most boring so far, and he fills me with the least excitement. But there are some people out there who just want to play cards that kill shit, and this card does that. Wheel of Fortune was revealed by Ren and Owlboy. Whoreson Junior was revealed by Powell Berger himself, but just by leading it off with a very innocent splish splash. I was taking a bath. And now we got Igor the Hook revealed by Commando. Longtime supporter, Gulo X2. Just a great dude in the community. Shout out to Gulo. Gets to reveal an awesome card here. A 10 provision point 6. This is Igor the Hook. He got to reveal Igor the Hook. We have a 10 provision point 6 strength unit with Insanity. With a fee of 5, spot a base copy of a bronze allied unit and summon it to Igor's row. Again, watch the Cutup Lackey. He's doing card tricks for it. He's going to keep coming back. Watch the engines. Now you see him. Now you see 2 of them. Igor the Hook, as the keyword says, this card is actually insane. This card might actually be insane. Anything that needs to be removed at 6 strength is scary. And I've seen 2 cards today that have this. The Syndicate seems to have a lot of cards that are really worth removing at 6. And they also have a lot of good engines at 4 or 5 that are also worth removing. This seems like an engine. This seems like the engine class that I was born to play. Northern Realms, I feel for you, man. There may be, keep in mind that there's balancing that's going to be happening in this patch as well. Maybe. I don't know how much. They better be careful. But Northern Realms need some love. If Syndicate's going to get this many 6 strength cards that demand removal that are engines that can do more and do things, if you can pay it, he sticks around. Cutup Lackey, Bare Knuckle Brawler, Cutup Lackey. At the worst case scenario, these are the guys that are always going to be on the board. I'm talking about portal stuff. They're always there. 2 of them all the time. But he's also so insane that he can do it. If you have the fee, you can pay the fee twice. Normally impossible because you can only have 9 coins. But he has insanity, so when you can't afford the fee, you damage yourself. So you can actually create 2, you can spawn, it's a spawn effect as well. Pay attention, Firesworn Zealot fans. Spawn and summon, which means that the Arena Ghoul wouldn't kill itself. Spawn and summon, and then you could do it again. Igor is now down at 1 strength, but you don't even need him anymore. He can be killed. He's at 1 strength. He can be easily gobbled up by Tatterwing. It's just, this guy is a very good card. Much like Pugo Boombreaker, makes me think a lot, but just makes me think, this one makes me think because the possibilities just seem like I need to review all the bronze cards. You're doubling tax collectors. You're doubling townsfolk. If your opponent can't solve one of your bronze issues, bronze problems, you're like, all right, it's Igor time, especially if it's something like tax collector that's already generating you coins. If you're playing Gudrun, you can just get the coins in play and you can just do the double spawn immediately. This guy is a psychotic round 3 card. In the long round, makes 2 engines. Very good. Also, if the engines you have copied are the tax collectors, the fee, you'll eventually get your money back and you can do it again. He's like hyper dangerous. This guy is this is like the Visigoda of Corvo and Dandelion combo. That's like, if you don't remove this card, you are just done. You're just done. I think like Igor the Hook is still killable and lockable. He can still stop him. It's just, here we have another card that's 6 strength at 10 provision. So this is Alonzo Wylie, a.k.a. Whoreson Senior. A dark, dark glimpse in how you could see a father that could deeply corrupt. You see the distance between the father and son, and in this dark distance, in this cold, cold void between father and son, you can see how the son can be so deeply corrupted. Anyway, no joke though. Father-son issues are no joke. This is a really cool card. 10 provision points, 6 strength unit with Intimidate, which means that it's an engine in itself. Deploy, transform an adjacent unit into Cutup Lackey. Tribute of 3, transform adjacent units, plural, into Cutup Lackeys instead. This is another card that's very pushed. This card does not need Intimidate to be good. This card does not need to be 6 strength to be good. The best comparison I could give for a card like this is probably, so here we have Queen Adalia. She's a more expensive, cheaper, more useless card that creates a copy of a bronze unit from your hand and gives it survivability. So you can see how survivability has been priced in this card, and you can basically see how this effect has been priced. You could choose any card. Oh, it's a very different card. Don't get me wrong. This is a very different card from Whoreson Senior, Alonzo. But I'm just saying that this card is a cheaper card and gets you a body that is an engine in itself that can transform 2 units into 2 engines, which means that this play could actually be playing 3 engines at once. Do you think Queen Adalia, who is a useless body, maybe could get a buff by like, Marcus is saying in comparison, Queen Adalia probably doesn't seem OP if she was 6 strength. I actually agree. I think Queen Adalia could use an absolutely massive buff. I do like the flavor of this guy recruiting into his messed up clown gang, Insane Clown Posse. I love that effect. I also like that he's better if you have coins, like most cards in the Syndicate. That's good too. But I would rather him be a lot less strength and have Intimidate, or not have Intimidate and be 6 strength. But having both is just, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Alonzo Wylie revealed by Ochech Dvochki Jechi. Rate my pronunciation in the comments. And now we're on to Arena Ghoul for today's reveals. An Arena Ghoul revealed by Bebobop, not a Monsters card. There are 2 of these cards that look like they're going to be Monsters dual cards, but these aren't, as much as they may appear. This is the Arena Ghoul, a 5 provision point, 7 strength unit on deploy, on turn end, destroy self. Tribute 2, cancel the deployability. So he's basically saying, pay me $2 or I'm just going to kill myself. I'm going to throw this fight. This card's really, really good for anything that summons. This card is really good if you can just pay the tribute and you have nothing else to spend the coins on. You're getting, if you want to say that this card is above average by 2 points, you can say that you're getting value 1-for-1 for your coins. So you could say that it's not really worth it or just worth it enough, in that you probably need to spend coins to compete with Syndicate. But I think that summoning is a big deal. I think that when we look at Igor the Hook, I can see the potential of just doing a double spawn, 14 points on the board. It's like really crazy stuff that might just be like Christmas Land impossible combo stuff. But when I just see 5 for 7, I mean, I think that it's on par with the Disgraced Brawler as well. So, but Disgraced Brawler doesn't really have like those kinds of powerful summon effects like this one. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I hate saying at the end of the day. I really don't like saying it. The people that like saying it say it all the fucking time. I don't like saying it. But I'll say that at the end of the turn, all that really matters is that you've played a 7 strength unit, and 7's a lot in a single play. And you're paying, it's like you get carryover in your coins in that way. I think this card's quite good. Arena Endrega, also a monster, but not a monster's duel card. This one is revealed by Jamdi. This is a 5 provision point, 5 strength unit with Insanity. On fee, damage an enemy unit by 1 with cooldown of 1. Immediate comparison is that this is basically the light longship of Syndicate, but you have the option to basically not lose the strength when you ping if you have the fee. So, considering that there's a cards like Damnation, do I have it still open here? There's cards like Damnation, there's cards with Deathblow, and you're going to see more cards that care about damaging units. So much like how Skellige cares about damaged units, I think Syndicate will have a lot of Deathblow triggers that will care about damage thresholds. So I think pound for pound, this card might be an include. I don't know if there is a card that's going to care about the tribal synergies of insectoids for Syndicate. So I mean, Skellige doesn't really have any tribal synergies either. Skellige also, when you consider that you play the longship in Skellige and you're already discarding all your other bad cards, it really speaks volumes to how good Bloodthirst and Light Longship is. If when you can discard so many bad cards that you're still choosing the Light Longship to play. Like, this could be like an outdated take, but I think this card could see play just because you can ping for free often. It's a 5 strength engine in that regard. It's also good for spawning with Igor the Hook, I think. In an Insanity deck, if you want to make use of Insanity, if there's something that cares about Insanity procs or cards with the keyword, I can see the deck forming. You just found a YouTuber that says at the end of the day, just 10 times for video. I know. It's just a thing that people say sometimes to fill space. We all have our things. A lot of people that review things say at the end of the day, because it somehow justifies something that isn't necessarily true, but you have to believe it because at the end of the day, you're watching their content because you respect what they say or believe them. Like, you know, at the end of the day, the final analysis, it's the bottom line. And when the bottom line, when it's in the red, we just have to say to ourselves, really, what are we doing here? And when it's in the black, we have to pat ourselves in the back, but we can't do both of those things at the same time. So at the end of the day, I want you guys just to really be buckling down, focusing on what you're doing. I want our aces in our places. I want to make sure that when we circle back with the client tomorrow, that we have something that we can be proud of showing them, because at the end of the day, all that really matters is the client's opinion. Okay? Okay, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Whoreson's Freak Show, let's talk about this card. This card's nuts too. 6 provision points. 6. You're hearing that right. 6 provision points for a 6 strength card. I'm already on board. It's a gold card. I'm already on board because that's pretty good for 6 if it does a thing. Insanity. Fee 1. Give an enemy unit bleeding for 1 turn. If Insanity was used, damage it by 1 instead. Here's how I see this card working. I see this card working early on, like Coral is used early on to thin your deck and control. Because you can thin and control, she was really, really strong. This card actually allows you to control because it comes in at 6, which is really hard to remove. It's just going to get you an extreme amount of value, and I think that this needs to be at least botchling value at 8. 6 is nuts! I just think that this card just allows you to control really hard. And it also, it promotes this card. It makes this card so good. Where is it? Shakedown? How good does this card look now? Not only are you boosting your Freak Show, but you're also profiting 3 and putting 3 bullets in the chamber. Final card for the dual faction monsters cards. This is Kikimore Warrior, 4 provision point, 3 strength unit, bronze. On order, destroy an allied unit, then spawn a Kikimore Warrior and summon to the same row. So this is obviously an amazing, amazing card for Erika's Queen. Does things that monsters want to do in that it destroys an allied unit, so that's really good with anything Erika's Queen, which means that anything you could have done with Slizzard, you kind of do it with well, for 4, this is a very threatening card. You eat a drone every turn. The Arrakis Behemoth is actually a playable card in a deck that wants to run these. So I think that there's an insectoid deck that gets a really important piece here with this. Now for the Syndicate, I think that there's probably a lot of cards with Insanity or some cards that you bust down to 1. Or even like even the Firesworn Zealots, you get a point on them. You know, you are getting a point on them. Row limit. Well, for Erika's Queen, this is a row limit. You know, I think row limit is always going to be a concern for Erika's Queen. I think this means that you can really push row limit and do some crazy row stuff without worrying too much in round 1. It seems like it's an okay card. Payday, revealed by the Great Dandelion Show, 5 provision point special card, which is a crime. Damage an enemy unit by 2 and on death blow, gain 5 coins. Really great for a card that wants to just build that carryover and spend early. Whoreson's Freak Show just loves this card, obviously. Just another great control card with Whoreson's Freak Show. Another great card for Intimidate. Can't include them all, right? You can't include this and Shakedown and Slander and Eventide Plunder and Fisstech, and you can't include all these cards. So you're going to have to just pick. But you have a lot of different picks. Unlike Northern Realms. Like, Northern Realms has a lot of cool special cards, but they're not all spells. They have a lot of cards that care about spells, but they're not all spells. So if I want to play Reinforcements, I don't get a proc. If I want to play Kira Metz, I can only use, like, some of my faction cards. But, like, Syndicate can use, like, almost every faction card they get for their engines and all the cards that interact with it without having to dip into the neutral pool at all. I wish Northern Realms could do that. This is a really, really cool card. The reason why I like this card is Boris. This was revealed by the GWENT team. 8 provision point, 3 strength, beast unit. On deployed, damage an enemy unit by 3. Death blow, gain 3 coins. Here's why I absolutely love this card. It is a perfect Syndicate card. It does everything that the Syndicate wants to do, everything that a GWENT deck wants out of a unit. Also fills the role that a lot of factions have as well. You see Giant Toad, Proto-Fletter is kind of like one of these cards as well. Vess is a card like this. Her carryover is the Zeal effect that she threatens to include. You know what would be cool? If Vess gave Zeal to a card in your hand. She could go down. She could ping for less if she did that. Because this card has carryover, right? This card gives you carryover. It's kind of like Swears for Nilfgaard. This card gives you 3 points. This card gives you 3 coins that can turn into at least 3 points of carryover. Generally, no leader is going to get less than a point-for-point conversion, right? You could look at this like an easy 8 for 9 with removal. That's pretty good. All right, so this card's pretty good. Let's talk about why this card's good. So, you know, I said that nobody plays Viper Witcher. Maybe they do now, because now you can actually set up the card at a very low cost. Before, to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, you had to play Treherne. You had to know what was there. Viper Witcher didn't really care. Viper Witcher was just happy to play in mill decks. You just thin your opponent's deck and stuff like that. But, well, mission accomplished, making a card that both factions would want to play. Because this is a card that helps your consistency. How many times in round 1 have you just been like, damn, I didn't draw any of my thinners and I just need to draw it. I just need to see it. And you play something that draws you a card and plays something that plays something off the top of your deck. You're just like, oh, I could draw that card. I could draw the thinning card and I don't want to draw that. And in a faction that has 2 thinning cards like Sewer Raiders and Casino Bouncers, you really don't want to draw that thinning card before you're ready. Well, you can be sure that you're not going to do that now. And it's a good card. It's a good card just because a card that offers you consistency is good. A card that offers you information is good. That's usually good at almost any time in the game. It's not a great top deck, But if you are playing a tutor card or you're playing Calvet, it's not the worst top deck, especially if you passed early in round 1 and you know that one of those, you know that you're going into a long round 2 or 3 where you may need to use Calvet's ability. Seems like a lot of setup, but this card has like no opportunity cost. People were playing Infiltrators. If you just don't care about infiltrating your opponent's deck, I mean, this guy kind of fucks with your opponent's deck too. This guy's like just... He's different than Infiltrator. He doesn't need to be. He's just a great alternative to Infiltrator if you just want to play this instead. This card's super cool.